Once upon a time, winters in Delhi were romantic. It was something special. But now winter in Delhi feels like a nightmare. It is no longer something to look forward to. It is unbreathable, unbearable. It feels like the air itself is trying to kill you. Studies show it could take 11 to 12 years of your life. And worse, it is also messing up with our kids' brains. It is scary, right? But here's something more crazy. We know all these things, yet we don't do enough to solve it. We have some ideas, sure, using electric vehicles, stop burning crop stubble, ban crackers during Diwali, so on and so forth. We have heard these suggestions all the times. But let's be honest, a lot of those solutions are not practical, or I would say sometimes there are more challenges of implementing them because either they are expensive, they're hard to put in practice, it needs behavioral correction, or it takes too long to show results. Take the odd even scheme for example. When it was introduced in 2019, the goal was to reduce the pollution by limiting the number of vehicles on road. But it didn't work. Why? Because it was a logistical nightmare. It required tracking every vehicle on every road at every time. No state government has this kind of capacity in India, and therefore it was bound to fail. Similarly, asking farmers not to burn stubble or the crop residue is easier said than done. Setting fire to crops is cheaper because it needs just one matchstick than asking them to use some eco-friendly method to dispose the stubble. So today I want to try something different. Instead of throwing out usual solutions, let's talk about how we can solve this with little help of economics. Yes, economics. Because sometimes the answer isn't more rules or bans. Sometimes it's about getting the incentives right so people and businesses can make proper decisions or proper choices. Hi, I'm Swapnil Karkare. I am a chartered accountant and an economist, and today I'm going to share how economics can help us solve Delhi pollution problem. But before that, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Let's start with the basics. We all know what's causing Delhi pollution. Transport, dust, industries, residential, waste burning, power plants, dust storms, agricultural residual burning, and firecrackers. Mostly in this order. Let me start with a simple example. Imagine there's a small village with only two industries. There is one steel industry and there is one fishery industry because there is one lake. The steel factory pollutes the lake, which harms the fishery industry. But if steel factory stops working tomorrow, then we will lose jobs and incomes of people. So what do? The solution is not shutting one down for the other. It's about finding a midway and finding a way where both can exist. The idea is that both the factory and fishery can trade their rights to pollution. Hear me out. What if fishery pays to the factory to reduce some amount of pollution, or factory compensates the fishery for the damage it is causing? Sounds good? Then let's apply this to Delhi pollution. The truth here is that only one third of the pollution in Delhi is caused from the sources within Delhi. The rest comes from the neighboring states like Punjab or Haryana. So, what if Delhi negotiates with these states? What if Delhi pays other states to stop burning stubble, for example? Or those states pay Delhi for the damage they are causing? This might sound complicated, but idea is simple. Create an agreement where everyone benefits. This way, it is not about penalizing people, it is about incentivizing them for change. Let's take stubble burning as an example. Every winter, farmers in Punjab and Haryana burn their rice stubble. It is cheap, it is easy. The problem is that burning stubble adds to Delhi's pollution. If the government wants farmers to stop burning stubble, it needs to make it cheaper for them to do something else. Cheaper than the matchstick, remember, because that's what it needs to burn the crop stubble. Here, I would refer to 2019 article by Shruti Rajgopalan, which was published in the Mint. The numbers mentioned in the article would have changed, but the essence remains the same. Assume that the farmer needs a machine that will destroy the crop residual, which costs around 1 lakh rupees. If we want 20 lakh farmers to use this, the total cost is 20,000 crores. That means the government will have to subsidize these machines so that the cost to farmer is zero. Now that is something cheaper than a matchstick, right? We will keep the implementation part aside, or practical challenges where farmer is actually using that machine versus farmer just lighting his bidi and throwing the matchstick on the crop stubble and burning the entire stubble. That is different. So let us see this just from this economic perspective. Now, by eliminating the crop residual burning, we can save 14.9 million disability adjusted life years lost per year. That is according to one research, and which is valued at 2 trillion rupees or 2 lakh crore rupees annually. So the cost to other states for not burning stubble is 20,000 crore rupees, and benefits from not burning stubble is around 2 trillion rupees. Thus, benefits are higher than cost. So it makes sense for Delhi government or the central government to help pay for those machines, because it is obvious that no state or even any other country is going to compensate 2 trillion rupees to Delhi for not reducing pollution, right? Therefore, in an ideal world, Delhi could give Punjab and Haryana this money and farmers would get machines they need. Yes, I know it is a difficult deal to broker, but the central government can pitch in and try to create a conducive environment to make this happen. I know what you are thinking. This is a radical idea. This will not happen. There are so many practical issues. I agree to everything. But this isn't just about throwing money around, it is about creating incentives that can actually work. This is one way of solving these problems. One might say that the share of Delhi in the 20,000 crore bucket will actually be lesser, because the benefit of lower pollution will obviously be enjoyed by Punjab and Haryana states also, right? That's why I emphasize that it may not be about money in the end. It is about how we think about solutions. Now let us get out of this radical solution and talk something about that has actually worked. There is a concept called as emissions trading system. You might have heard of carbon credits. That is the same thing. But instead of carbon, we can replace with any other pollutant. Let's say particulate matter or PM. India has implemented the world's first emissions trading system for a particulate matter. This is something which nobody will tell you. It is very, very important step for India and even for the world. Surat has the world's first emissions trading system or ETS for PM or particulate matter. Here's how it works. There is a cap of how much total pollution can take place in that region that was set as 170 tons per month. Firms were given permit, and through each permit a plant was allowed to emit 1 kilogram of PM. 80% of those permits are given for free to plants, okay, so that they can emit that much pollution. Remaining 20% of the permits, if the plant wants to exceed their pollution or exceed their emission, then the remaining 20% of the permits are sold at the auction. Each permit is valid for 4 to 6 week compliance period. This is important because no one can accumulate those credits and say, okay, I will emit a lot of pollution next year or next month, something like that. So that is also not allowed. Now plants can buy and sell permits in weekly auctions. They submit their bids to purchase, or they can offer to sell those permits, and the market clears one particular price, which is the lowest price at which demand and supply matches. It's like similar to how stock market trading happens. After the auction, permits can also be traded directly between plants. through over the counter trade, which is OTC trades. The price of permits is controlled by a price collar. The range is between 5 rupees and 100 rupees per kg. If the market price is too high or too low, the government commits to buy or sell those permits. You can see the real-time data on cleanairmarkets.in website. The results in Surat have been very impressive. After the system was introduced, emissions went down by 20 to 30%. And it didn't just benefit Surat, it also improved air quality of the surrounding area. Now, Ahmedabad has also started it, and the same research team is working on something similar in Maharashtra for sulfur dioxide. So these efforts are ongoing even in India. Let alone there are many things happening around the world, but these are the things happening in India, which you can easily replicate in another city. So why should Delhi miss out on such market-based solution? I believe this is one of the best solutions for any city with higher industrial pollution because states in India lack capacity. This is something which has low efforts and high results. And that is the solution we want for each and every problem in India. And pollution is one of them because everyone is suffering from that. This is something which kind of changes the behavior of plants or factories, because it is not about banning or penalizing. It is about having right incentives in place. Just one more thing, where if and when this happens in Delhi, the government should include industries in the entire belt of Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh. Otherwise, it will not be helpful. Now, let us quickly talk about other sources of pollution in Delhi. First, transport. It contributes 10 to 30% of the air pollution. We know solutions: electric vehicles, public transportation, etc. In Delhi, metro connectivity is already the best. We need to increase its capacity. Second is the dust. It contributes 10 to 30% of the pollution. Here's a manual of how to reduce construction related dust. This is written by WRI and Pollution Control Board in Surat. The key is sprinkling water on the dust particles. I'm no expert in civil engineering, so I will just give the link to this document. Then let's move on to third reason, which is industries, which again contributes to 10 to 30% of the pollution. And we have talked about the solution, which is using trading systems. Fourth is residential. 10 to 30% is the share. In summers it is low, in winters it is high. For this, I think real-time air quality monitors must be placed outside every building and around each independent house. Through that, we can understand what kind of pollutant is responsible for this kind of pollution. There is a famous case of how New York reduced its pollution. Around 2010-2012, authorities found that the oil used for heating contained higher levels of sulfur. So it started phasing out low quality oils, and that has helped curb pollution. Fifth is waste burning, which contributes to 5 to 15% of the pollution. This relates to open waste burning, and that is a huge problem in any city in India. The lack of waste disposal mechanisms and laws around it has created these problems, and government is solely responsible for managing the waste in India. So that is something which needs a lot of attention. Lastly, all other sources like power plants, dust storms, stubble burning, firecrackers have meager shares. Unfortunately, we talk a lot about these other sources while the main villains are neglected. But since we are on this topic and we had some kind of discussion on stubble burning, let's hear the solution. And let us go to the crux of the problem and solution. In states like Haryana and Punjab, rice is the dominant crop, and its harvest leaves behind large amounts of straws, which farmers burn to clear the fields. This practice contributes significantly to air pollution and environmental damage. Farmers are incentivized by state governments such as Haryana's to adopt alternative farming practices. But the real barrier is the central government. Because of the central government's procurement of rice at MSP, farmers tend to overproduce rice. The government cannot do away with MSP procurement because of political issues, but it has to tweak the procurement norms a little bit. If, for example, government says or commits to procure only fixed quantity of rice each year at MSP, and anything above that will have to be sold at market prices, it would force a shift in the farming behavior. However, this is not a simple or politically risk-free solution. But as difficult as it may sound, these reforms are necessary to move beyond the stubble burning issue. The government could start to gradually introducing caps on rice procurement while also providing strong support for farmers to transition to other crops. It is a delicate balance, but without such reform, the problem of stubble burning will remain a persistent challenge. And I think politicians know it, but it is, after all, a difficult thing to actually implement. On this note, let us end this episode. Do hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and share it with everyone. Let me know what's your feedback of this episode and see you soon with another interesting topic the next time. Thank you.